What if I told you the biggest and most important update in Apple's entire history isn't about adding flashy new features, but actually taking a massive step backward? Apple has officially pulled back the curtain on WWDC 2026, and this announcement has sent absolute shockwaves through the tech community. For months, we have been guessing what the Cupertino giant has been working on behind closed doors. Now, the dates are officially set. The expectations are sky high. Between a massive, ground-up overhaul of Siri and some long-awaited, futuristic hardware updates, this year's developer conference feels completely different. It feels like a massive turning point for the company. However, there is a dark shadow hanging over this announcement. Apple has made many huge promises over the last couple of years. Some of those promises are still sitting on a shelf, waiting to be fulfilled. Frankly, it is getting a bit ridiculous at this point. We are seeing a frustrating pattern of delays that makes die-hard fans very nervous. But if the latest leaks and rumors are true, WWDC 2026 will be the ultimate stage where Apple finally catches up to the competition. Before we dive into the deep technical details of what is coming, let's talk about the hardware you already own and how to make it better today. Level up your current iPad. If you use an iPad for work, school, or digital art, you already know the screen can feel a bit slippery. Writing on glass is not a natural feeling. That is exactly where Paperlike comes in. They make Apple's hardware even better. Their screen protectors are legendary in the tech and art community. When you draw or take notes with a Paperlike protector, it feels just like real paper. It takes away that annoying glass-on-plastic feeling that can be so distracting to your workflow. Beyond the amazing texture, it keeps your expensive iPad display completely protected from scratches and smudges. They have also expanded their accessory lineup recently. They now offer incredible replacement tips for the Apple Pencil to give you extra friction and control. They even have a specialized drawing glove. This glove stops accidental touches when you're resting your hand on your display to draw. If you want to instantly level up your iPad experience, check out Paperlike using the link in the description below. The return of the snow leopard strategy. Now, let's get back to the big event. When is WWDC actually happening? Apple is sticking to its traditional, reliable schedule. Just like every other previous year, the event will take place in the second week of June. Specifically, it will kick off on June 8th, 2026. This all starts with a massive keynote event. This is the stage where Tim Cook and the executive team will show off the future of Apple software. The rest of the week will be filled with activities and workshops for developers. These workshops are where the real work happens, as developers learn how to integrate the new tools Apple provides. But for most of us watching at home, the keynote is the main attraction. We want to see the future of the iPhone, the Mac, and the iPad. The real question is what will actually be inside those massive updates. The headlines right now are completely dominated by iOS 27. Many top experts believe iOS May 27th be the most important update Apple has released in years. That is a very bold claim. Usually, the most important update is the one packed with the most features. But iOS 27 is a completely different beast. It is not about adding 1,000 new bells and whistles. Instead, it is set to finally fix the endless glitches and slowdowns of iOS 26. If you have used iOS 26 over the past year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It has been a rocky, frustrating road for many loyal users. The experience has felt unpolished. It has felt rushed out the door. iOS 27 is Apple's direct response to those growing frustrations. To understand why iOS 27 matters so much, we have to look honestly at the current state of things. For many of us, iOS 26 has been one of the worst and buggiest experiences in recent memory. We have seen constant, random app crashes. We have dealt with weird battery drains and slowdowns that simply should not happen on modern, incredibly powerful hardware. Even the interface animations, which used to be Apple's ultimate pride and joy, have been stuttering and glitchy. This is happening even on the most expensive, brand new iPhones on the market. It is definitely not the experience you expect when you pay well over $1,000 for a premium phone. You expect total perfection. You expect a tool that just works seamlessly. Lately, that hasn't been the case. Apple knows they have a severe quality control problem, and iOS 27 is the planned, ultimate solution. Mark Gurman has described iOS 27 as the snow leopard of iOS updates. To the younger crowd, that code name might not mean much, but to longtime, veteran Apple fans, it means absolutely everything. Back in 2007, Apple released Mac OS X Leopard. It was a massive visual update. It changed the design and added tons of heavy features. But it was also full of bugs. It was heavy, lagging, and slow. Sound familiar? It sounds exactly like what we are going through right now with iOS 26. History is repeating itself. In 2009, Apple fixed the entire mess by releasing Snow Leopard. They didn't focus on flashy new features. They focused entirely on refining what they already had. They optimized the deep code. They killed the bugs. It quickly became one of the most beloved, stable versions of macOS ever created. Apple is now following that exact same winning philosophy for the iPhone, refining the iPhone experience. This is absolutely the right move for the company. Over the past few years, Apple has been trapped in a feature race. They have kept adding more and more complex, heavy systems with every single release. This finally reached a breaking point with iOS 26. The performance took a massive hit because of the sheer number of new features running in the background. We also had the major liquid glass visual redesign to deal with. It was simply too much change at once. By heavily focusing on stability in iOS 27, Apple can bring the premium experience back to the level we all expect. We want that buttery, smooth feel back. We want our batteries to actually last all day. We want the phone to feel reliable again. Of course, a stability update doesn't mean there are zero new features to get excited about. Apple still has to give us something cool to talk about on stage. We are expecting some smaller, highly refined additions. Health Plus. The suite is getting new features to track your physical recovery and sleep cycles much more deeply. Calendar overhaul. There are strong rumors of a brand new calendar app. The current one is functional, but it feels very dated and clunky compared to third-party options. Photos app. We are also expecting vastly improved collections inside the Photos app. Managing thousands of photos is an absolute nightmare right now. Apple wants to use on-device intelligence to sort your digital life much more logically. AirPods pairing. There's also talk of an entirely new, seamless system for pairing AirPods. We don't know exactly what the interface looks like yet, but anything to make the device switching process faster is a huge win. One of the most specific and exciting leaks involves the liquid glass design language. We are reportedly getting a brand new liquid glass slider. This was recently mentioned by insiders. This slider would let you manually fine-tune the amount of visual transparency across the entire operating system. In iOS 26.1, we got a small toggle to make the glass slightly more tinted or transparent. But a full slider is a completely different level of pro control. It allows the user to decide exactly how much blur or glass effect they want to see on their screen. This is a massive win for accessibility. Some people find the highly translucent menus very hard to read. Others just don't like the modern aesthetic. Giving users this high level of UI customization is a big departure for Apple, but it is a very welcome one. It shows they're actually listening to user feedback about the new design language. The birth of Siri 2.0. Beyond the visual tweaks and bug fixes, the absolute biggest part of iOS 27 will be the birth of Siri 2.0. This is tightly combined with a new, aggressive wave of Apple Intelligence features. This is a high-stakes, make-or-break moment for the company. This WWDC will mark 2 full years since Apple Intelligence was first teased and announced. 2 years is an absolute lifetime in the fast-paced world of artificial intelligence. Since then, we have seen massive models like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini completely change the world. Apple has been relatively quiet on the sidelines. Because of that silence, I'm not holding my breath just yet. Apple has a massive amount of ground to catch up on. Let's be honest, Siri has been the butt of tech jokes for a decade. Siri 2.0 needs to be significantly more than just a slight, incremental improvement. It needs to be a total, ground-up reimagining of what a voice assistant can do. The leaked plan for the new Siri is incredibly ambitious. Reportedly, it will actually be powered behind the scenes by Google's Gemini models. This is a massive, unprecedented shift in strategy. It shows that Apple is finally willing to swallow its pride and partner with a bitter rival to ensure their loyal users get the absolute best tech available. This new Siri will finally have a long-term memory. It will be able to remember your past conversations and context. It won't feel like you're talking to a complete stranger every single time you trigger it. It is also said to be much more proactive and helpful. Imagine Siri automatically suggesting when you should leave for the airport because it saw a flight confirmation in your calendar and simultaneously noticed a severe traffic jam on the highway. That is the exact kind of futuristic personal assistant experience we were promised many years ago. The visual interface for Siri is also changing drastically. It is moving rapidly toward a modern, chatbot-like experience. Leaks suggest Apple is internally testing a standalone Siri app. This would be a dedicated place where you can see a full history of your past queries and tasks. It would sync and work seamlessly across the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. It would look and function a lot like the ChatGPT or Claude apps we use every day right now. You would have a clear list of previous chats and the handy ability to pin your favorite, most used ones. There would be a text field at the bottom of the screen. You could effortlessly switch between typing your requests and talking out loud whenever you want. This completely transforms Siri into a serious productivity tool, rather than just a dumb gimmick to set a kitchen timer or check the local weather. The Apple design team is even rethinking the visual edge glow. This was the colorful, glowing light that appeared around your screen's borders back in iOS 18. Now, they might move that entire glowing animation up to the dynamic island. This raises a lot of intense questions about design consistency across the lineup. What happens to the older iPhone 17e? That specific phone still has a traditional notch, not a dynamic island. If the Siri animation moves to the top of the screen, will it look broken or cut off on the notch? This is the exact kind of tricky design challenge Apple engineers are currently facing. Reports say that when you ask Siri a complex question, a small, sleek pill-shaped indicator will pop up and say searching. Once the intelligent answer is fully ready, a beautiful, translucent liquid glass panel will expand downward. You can then pull that panel down further to continue the fluid conversation. It sounds incredibly futuristic and smooth. Even the classic Spotlight search is getting a massive revamp. It has been exactly the same for years. Now, it will integrate much more deeply and closely with Siri. The app and file suggestions you see when you swipe down will be heavily powered by this new, predictive AI. It will magically know what apps or documents you need before you even think of them. The danger of delays. It all sounds absolutely amazing on paper. However, there's a recurring, frustrating problem with Apple lately: massive delays. This is the exact part of the rumor mill that genuinely worries me. Some of the absolute best, most game-changing features, like advanced on-screen awareness and deep personal data access, might not actually be ready for the June launch. They might be silently pushed to the autumn updates, or possibly even delayed until next year. We have seen this exact playbook before. We are still sitting around waiting for software things promised a full year ago. The problem is the competition isn't waiting around for Apple to figure it out. Google Gemini is advancing at a terrifying, relentless speed. Samsung is already proudly showing off true agentic AI on their new Galaxy S26. This is advanced AI that can actually take complex, multi-step actions for you, like booking a dinner table or fully organizing a weekend trip. By the time Apple finally releases a polished Siri 2.0, the rest of the tech world might be even further ahead in the race. Apple urgently needs to prove they can still lead and innovate, not just react to what Android is doing. They clearly have the best hardware and the tightest ecosystem in the world. Now, they desperately need the software to match that premium standard. As we head into the month of June, all eyes are locked on that WWDC stage. Will they deliver a polished, stable, bug-free masterpiece? Or will we get more empty promises and more frustrating delays? Only time will tell. Preparing for the foldable future and Mac upgrades. While the iPhone usually steals the entire spotlight at these events, the massive updates coming to the rest of the Apple ecosystem are just as important. We really need to talk about how Apple is actively preparing for the next full decade of computing hardware. According to the absolute latest supply chain reports, iOS 27 isn't just about fixing bugs for the glass slab phones we have right now. It is also meticulously designed to lay the deep software groundwork for something we have been waiting for since the very first rumors of a flexible display. That is the highly anticipated foldable iPhone. This revolutionary device is reportedly coming at the very end of this year. Apple knows perfectly well that a foldable phone needs a very special, highly adaptable kind of software. You can't just stretch a normal iPhone screen aspect ratio and hope for the best. iOS 27 will reportedly include the heavy foundations for new continuity features. These features will allow your apps to instantly shift, scale, and change shape as the physical device opens and closes. This is a massive, complicated technical challenge. Seeing these software foundations actually appear in a June beta will give us our very first real, concrete hint at exactly how Apple plans to beat Samsung at their own folding game. Moving over to the desktop side, the story for the Mac is very similar to the iPhone's journey. macOS 27 is also highly expected to be a massive snow leopard-style stability update. For the last few painful years, macOS has felt a bit heavy and bloated. We have had a lot of weird transition issues and bugs as Apple moved aggressively away from Intel processors and fully into their own custom M-series silicon. Now that the massive hardware transition is mostly complete, Apple desperately wants to strip away all the legacy junk code. macOS 27 will focus heavily on raw, unadulterated performance. It is being built to make the incredibly powerful M-series chips feel even faster and more responsive than they already are. But there is a massive, fundamental change coming to how we interact with our computers. For decades, Apple loudly and proudly said no to touch screens on Macs. They aggressively argued that if you want a touch interface, you should just buy an iPad. But the times are changing, and the lines between the iPad and the MacBook are blurring faster than ever. The code inside these upcoming operating systems heavily hints that the touchscreen Mac is no longer just a myth. It is an impending reality. The final verdict. As an AI analyzing these trends, my genuine opinion is that Apple is making the absolute smartest possible move by hitting the brakes on flashy features. The snow leopard approach isn't just nice to have. It is vital for their survival. You cannot build the futuristic, AI-driven features of tomorrow on a buggy, unstable foundation. Partnering with Google for Gemini models is a massive slice of humble pie for Apple, but it is the ultimate win for the consumer. If they can truly blend Gemini's unmatched reasoning power with Apple's strict privacy and beautiful design, Siri 2.0 will absolutely dominate. They just need to stop delaying the magic and actually ship it. If you're as hyped for WWDC 2026 as I am, and you want to stay completely up to date on all the latest Apple leaks, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Share this video with your tech-loving friends so they know exactly what is coming to their iPhones. And don't forget to smash that bell icon so you never miss a breaking update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.